Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. The Phils get swept by the Mets. Jordan Romano has to go. I'm losing my mind at this team today. If you're looking for a positive episode, you're not getting one today.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You may know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic, doing sports talk radio here in Philadelphia for a little over 5 years. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, hitting that subscribe button on the YouTube. That'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted, so I appreciate everyone who's done that. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Go ahead and check out our friends over at Game Time. So we're going to, because the Phillies have finally made it to an off day, right? Today is their first off day in 16 days. They need it. They need the rest. They need to reset, especially after getting swept by the darn Mets. They need the day off. That's it. I don't know if it fixes them. I don't know if it solves stuff, but they certainly could use one. We're going to talk about, if you've followed Locked On Phillies, you know, off days, we always do a standings check-in, right? It's been a while, so we want to take a peek at what's going on around baseball, around the National League, around the NL East, all of that. We're going to try and maybe look at some positives from parts of the series, I guess, in the final segment. But before we do any of that, I got to go off on this team. I got to go off on certain players. I got to go off on the GM. I got to go off on the manager. I got to go off on everybody because that was an embarrassing performance of baseball up at Citi Field in New York against the Mets. Getting swept out of that series, there's a lot of stuff that went wrong up in that series with the Mets, right? Game 1, you get absolutely shut down offensively. And Aaron Nola gives up 2 more bombs, and then your bullpen gives up another big one to basically take you out of the game so that Bryson Stott's heroics in the 9th inning don't really matter. Miserable. Game 2, well, Christopher Sanchez gets pulled early after just 2 innings. You kind of expected that one to go poorly. The bullpen in Game 2, actually not terrible. Joe Ross gave you 3 good innings, and you kind of battled through some stuff, but ultimately was not enough. You kind of had the feeling that the bullpen having to get you 7 innings worth of outs to win a ball game was not a great strategy for this team right now because the bullpen can't really consistently get anybody out. And then the final game of the series, the Phils have opportunities all over the place. They're just not getting those big clutch hits right now, and they do make it to extras. They do take the lead in extra innings. Then Jordan Romano comes in the game and blows it again. I'm going to start with Romano, and I know people said this in response to my immediate reaction video after the game and in my tweet about Jordan Romano having to go, oh, the offense, they didn't hit all series. Oh, the manager, he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, it's the president of baseball operations' fault that he's here. Blame these individual players. Blame the manager. Blame the spot he's getting. Blame all this other stuff. And I'm not saying Jordan Romano is the only thing wrong with this baseball team. No, there are other issues currently with the Philadelphia Phillies, and we're going to get into them. But number one is the guy that you went out and signed to be your biggest high leverage acquisition out of the bullpen has been flat out terrible. He is pitching like Junior Marte, like Jared Hughes, like any of these other guys that have come into the city of Philadelphia, gotten their teeth kicked in, got booed on their way out, and then left unceremoniously. That's what it seems like Jordan Romano is on the path for his career here. The only difference is he came in as a multi-time All-Star to try and replace Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez, which, yeah, you can point to Dave Dombrowski and say, hey, not the soundest strategy, but the track record of Jordan Romano with 2 All-Star appearances in the past 3 years says, okay, this guy should be able to hold his own if he's healthy. And guess what? He's healthy. The issue is not, oh, this guy's injured. He's throwing hard. His stuff is moving. He might just flat out stink. I'm sorry, but that's my only explanation at this point. This guy comes into a game and it is over. Unless like in the series against the Marlins. You happen to have an 11-4 lead, and then the game's over by 1 run for your team. He's been so darn bad. And it's just, I've come to the point where everything about the guy annoys me. And that's not fair, and I don't want to take this like further than his performance, but dude, I hate the way he looks at batters. I hate the way that, I hate the leg kick. I hate everything about the way Jordan Romano is pitching right now. And the Phillies are not going to cut him. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to go ahead and, I don't know, send him to AAA or anything like that. Could they do the phantom injured list stint? Sure. But Jordan Romano's going to have to be here because you don't have many other options. So this is all wishful thinking, and this is emotional reaction from me saying, get him off my baseball team right now. I never want to see him pitch again. But that's how I feel. And I'm sure that's how a lot of the fan base feels after another game that he did not do his job. Sure, you have hitters that get out. You have hitters that strike out. Well, right now, with Brandon Marsh currently down in Lehigh Valley, and Brandon Marsh has had a really, really rough start to the year, the only guy on the team consistently not doing their job is Jordan Romano. He's not doing it to such a bad level. I cannot watch it anymore. I would rather pour bleach into my eyes. He has been terrible out of the bullpen. He is costing them games every time he steps on a mound, or he's costing them innings from other relief pitchers, or he's giving us heart attacks by making blowout games into immediate close games. Somehow, that's the reality of this. You know how much, if you watch Locked On Phillies, it takes to get me to this level. This guy has got me to this level. I never want to see him pitch again for the Philadelphia Phillies. That is not realistic, but that is how I feel in this moment. Now, it would be unfair to Jordan Romano to just make this about Jordan Romano, right? He is where I go first because he is the guy, in my opinion, on this team that expectations compared to performance is the biggest gap. He was expected to be a high-end back of the bullpen reliever. He has been a barely usable mop-up guy. And that's miserable considering what he's done in his career and what this team asked him to do. Is there time to turn it around? I guess. Nobody expects that. He's been behind the 8 ball since basically day one here in Philadelphia. He has not gotten any better. This fan base has turned on him. I have turned on him. And that's going to be very hard, if you know anything about Philadelphia sports, to win back over this fan base to the point where they're going to trust him at all. I'm going to trust him at all. And the team is going to have to keep throwing him because they don't have many arms in the bullpen in general. But man, I am so tired of him. And there's a couple other things that I'm tired of while we're on the topic of what I'm tired of with this baseball team. I'm tired of seeing Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso and Juan Soto and all of these guys on the Mets torch this baseball team. I'm tired of it, right? I know Juan Soto, he's just here this year for the first time. I've seen Juan Soto torch this baseball team, so I'm joining the Mets is annoying, but whatever. I'm tired of seeing them do it with smiles on their faces. I'm tired of seeing Francisco Lindor get out and smile and laugh about it and then go out his next at bat and have a big clutch hit. The number one difference between the Mets and the Phillies in the series was not one team got clutch hits, not one team pitched really, really well, not, one team was at home and they had the backing of the crowd and everything like that. No. And some of those things are true. But the number one difference between these teams is one of these teams is having fun playing baseball right now and one of these teams is not. And the Philadelphia Phillies are the team that is not. The Phillies are a team that looks like they're burdened by what they're being asked to do. They don't look like they're having fun. And no, you shouldn't be smiling and laughing and yucking it up when you're getting swept by the Mets. And you can't just say, hey, let's go have a fun day at the ballpark. And then all of a sudden you play better baseball. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the feel of the Phillies is, oh man, we have so much pressure. If we mess up, we're collapsing in on ourselves. The feel of the Mets is, I don't care if I get out or not. I'm going to get another chance. I'm going to go ahead and we think we're better than this team and we're going to play like it. That's it. And this does not mean the Phillies are the worst team. This does not mean the Phillies cannot beat the Mets. This does not mean the Mets are the greatest team in baseball, even though currently they have the best record in baseball. We will talk about that when we check in on the standings. And it doesn't mean anything about the postseason. It doesn't mean anything about the next series against the Cubs. No, this is just a rant in the moment. But this team, this Phillies team, does not feel like they have the right just the vibe. They don't feel like it. They don't feel like they're showing up to the ballpark, enjoying what they're doing, feeling like they're going to win, feeling like they're going to have success. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that comes from pressure. I don't know if that comes from a couple of guys like that have slumped this year. They're still trying to work their way out of it. I don't know if it comes from the manager. I don't know if it comes from the front office. I don't know. It could come from the fan base. It could come from people like me saying stuff like this to make their life harder. But bottom line is, when you see a team go out there and not perform, you got to rip them. The starting pitching was what it was. Zach Wheeler was really good yesterday. Christopher Sanchez got lifted early due to injury. We've already crushed Aaron Nola enough for his start. I hope he gets better. I'm not really holding out hope for a little bit until the weather gets significantly warmer. I don't know. We'll see. But the bullpen has been diabolically bad. The offense, well, we're going to talk more about this in the positives, maybe, segment. If you're watching on YouTube, that's what it's listed as on the right side. Rob Thompson had some interesting things to say after the game that I don't necessarily disagree with in his evaluation of the series against the Mets that are more positive than this rant I've just gone on. So when we get into that, I'm going to talk a little bit about why the offense I don't think is in a terrible spot, and they're going to get better. Like, they're going to be better for sure, but I don't know. Right now, I'm not looking at the silver lining. I'm not looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm looking at a baseball team that just went up to Queens, got their asses kicked by a team that knocked you out of the postseason last year and is now leading your division comfortably right now. It's early. And had fun while doing it, while you looked like you had a team of 26 guys whose dogs all died. That's ridiculous for the talent level on this team and for what this team is being expected to do. And they need to figure it out quickly, because we can't keep watching baseball series like this. And I think they will figure it out. But, man, I'm tired of losing to the Mets. And at least if you're going to lose to the Mets, make it look acceptable. What the Phillies did in that series and what the bullpen did in that series and what Jordan Romano did in that series, unacceptable level of play. Whew. All right. I think I got all of it out. I may have outburst the rest of the episode. But coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the standings in Major League Baseball and see where the Philadelphia Phillies are at. It's not great, but it's not as bad as it may feel right now. We'll take a peek around baseball and see what some of the surprises are through the early part of the season for teams that maybe the Phillies should be watching as they continue to try and find their stride in the 2025 season. We'll do that as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Now, this is awesome. Did you know, speaking about Amazon Fire TV, did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. What you do is you just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles, from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I play a lot of Black Ops 6. And also Avowed, and so many more. Great titles, great games, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. They've got the latest technology for elevated playing with Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode. That advanced technology makes sure that lag is the thing of the past, right? Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. They got 4K streaming. So if you're not just looking for the gaming, if you're like, well, can I still stream stuff? Absolutely. You can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. And you can play high-quality Xbox games that we're talking about at the fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take yours or your kids' games wherever you plug in. The worst thing is wrapping up all the cords and putting this big, 10-pound console into some suitcase or something to take it on vacation. That's crazy. Don't do that. With Amazon 4K Fire Stick, you can be able to do that with a much, much smaller, simpler, more portable thing that gives you all of the access to your game. So head to Amazon. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. I've forgotten how to talk. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Go ahead and check out our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. All right. I think I've calmed down. I believe I'm calm enough to go through the standings without losing my mind. Somebody tweeted me yesterday and asked, are we getting Angry Connor in this episode of Locked On Phillies? You damn well better believe you're getting Angry Connor. Swept by the Mets. Are you kidding me? Jordan Romano. Okay, stop it, Connor. Standings. The Phillies are not in first place in the National League East. That belongs to the New York Mets. We will get to that. First, we're going to look at the overall standings, and we are going to work our way back. After their sweep of the Phillies, the New York Mets are 18-7. That is the best record in all of baseball. Now, they're on a heater right now. They've won 7 straight games. The Phillies were kind of fighting their way through to the off day today, which I think is much needed. Not an excuse. Find a way to win. That's baseball. You're going to be sometimes an advantage based on schedule, disadvantage based on schedule. Doesn't matter. This team's good enough to beat anybody any day if they play up to their expectations. But the Mets have the best record in baseball. They've been red hot. Here's what I will say about the Mets. Pitching stupendous. I don't think that the pitching staff that we thought was going to be their weak spot is going to now just be the strength and the best rotation in baseball all year. That's not going to continue to hold, right? Doesn't mean they're not still a great team. You're going to have to chase down New York. They look really darn good. Then it's 3 teams from the National League West. There are 4 National League teams all up there. San Diego is at 17-8. San Francisco is at 16-9. The Dodgers are at 16-9. The Dodgers technically 3rd in their division right now. I mean, yeah, that'll show you how early it is. It shows you how strong the NL West is. There's another NL West team above the Phillies. When you look down, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 14-10. But the Phillies are not 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. No, they have the 13th best record in baseball, tied with the Milwaukee Brewers. They're behind teams like the Houston Astros, the Seattle Mariners, the Texas Rangers, who missed the playoffs last year, the Detroit Tigers, you're looking at some of these teams, the Chicago Cubs, who you play next, who are somehow 16-10. Kyle Tucker's really, really been good for them. We're going to talk about that when we preview the series with the Cubs. But Phillies have the 13th best record in baseball. They are not bottom half of Major League Baseball, but they're right there in kind of the middle of the pack. Now, to be middle of the pack with a god-awful bullpen, multiple issues with the starting rotation recently that's kind of put you behind the 8 ball in games, big-time slumping offensive players in the early parts of the season, a couple injuries there, not having Ranger Suarez yet, not playing their best baseball. 13th, you could be a heck of a lot worse. I mean, there are plenty of teams that are having worse starts to the season than the Phillies. I know that's not the bar, but my point is this. What we're seeing right now is hopefully, the worst version of this Phillies team. I can't imagine that they're playing worse baseball consistently over the course of another 20-some game stretch of the season at any point. You got to hope not. We'll see. We know that came to fruition last year in the second half, but maybe there's upside to them being 13th, even playing this badly. I don't know. We'll just take a look at the National League, and the Philadelphia Phillies are in not 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. No, they're 7th place in the National League right now. So currently, if the season ended today, which it doesn't, we're not worried about postseason, whatever. The Mets would win the East. The Padres would win the West. The Cubs would win the Central. Your wild card teams would be the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers, both from the National League Central. And then the third wild card team would also be a National League West. Third wild card team would be the Arizona Diamondbacks from the National League West. I don't know, man. Phillies wouldn't be in the playoffs. Okay, it's fine. They're 5 games out of the best record in baseball. It's not that many at this point in the season. There's a lot to be figured out. They're going to have their hot stretches too. But they're in the middle of the pack in Major League Baseball. They're in the middle of the pack in the National League. When you look at the NL East, they're a little bit better than the middle of the pack. So the Mets are 18-7. The Phillies at 13-12. Again, 5 games back. The Marlins and the Nationals are kind of hanging. They're both 11-13. Now, I don't expect them to be right around that number throughout the season. Maybe the Nationals, but the Marlins are going to come back down to earth. They have to. They're just not that good of a baseball team. The Braves are sneaking up. The Braves are 10-14 now. So you also have to keep an eye on them. Where's their ceiling as a baseball team? They got to dig out of a big hole, but they've already started. You've given them that opportunity. Well, the Mets haven't, but the Phillies have. The Mets are 7.5 up on the Braves. The Phillies now all of a sudden are just 2.5 games better. That's not great, right? When you get the opportunity to start the season against a division rival that was predicted by the odds to win the division, you've already given up a lot of ground that you gained by them being terrible. Now, run differential, the Mets are plus 36, the Phils are minus 4. The Marlins are minus 21. That normally shows you they're playing out above their skis with where their record is. Nationals minus 12, Braves minus 12. So the Mets are playing good baseball and no one else in the NL East really is. That could change very, very quickly over the course of like a week or two stretch of the season. But currently the Mets are unbelievable, and we will see if that holds up. Maybe that makes you feel better about what the Phillies did in New York. We get ticked off because it's the Mets and they're our division rivals. But ask yourself this as we get ready for a potential positives segment. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there, but we will see. If that team wasn't the Mets, if that was the, I don't know, San Diego Padres, would your response be the same? If it was the Houston Astros, would your response be the same to that series? If it was the Seattle Mariners or the Twins, just like some no-name teams that the Phillies have no beef with, would we be as mad if they were where the Mets are and playing the baseball that the Mets are playing? I know that's not a perfect example, but think about that because we're going to talk about the tough spot, the off day, and some good things that did happen in that series with comments that Rob Thompson had after Game 3 yesterday as we wrap up today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk about game time first, though, because there's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of the ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices, they drop as Game Time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. I mean, the Phillies are headed to Chicago. Maybe you got a weekend free. Go to Chicago, catch a game at Wrigley. That's awesome. Or if you don't have all the money in the world for a plane ticket, well, guess what? You can find a very affordable, great seat when the Phillies come back home and play at Citizens Bank Park. It's an awesome, awesome app, Game Time, because they're going to give you some of the great opportunities to view your seats before you buy. The Game Time guarantee guarantees you're getting the best deal possible in your section and row. Their tickets drop the closer you get to the game. So if you decide late you want to go to a game, Game Time's the place to go. I mean, they've got everything that you've ever imagined in a positive like ticketing app, right? All the problems that you wish were fixed with the apps you used to use, Game Time has fixed them, and they give you a great deal while doing so. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. And this is not just baseball tickets. No. Concerts, comedy, theater, NBA playoffs going on, NHL playoffs going on. Like all the sports you can think of, they got tickets for everything. So download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed with Game Time. All right, I'm feeling a little bit better. Okay, I fit in a good amount of rants. We talked about the standings. We looked at where the Phillies are. It's not great. They're not playing great baseball right now. I'm still mad at some individual players. I'm still mad at the team overall. I'm still annoyed with the manager. I'm still annoyed with the president of baseball operations for not doing more this offseason. We needed the off day as a fan base as much as the Phillies needed it as a team to just forget about the team for a day. Maybe go outside, eat some ice cream. I don't know. Do what you got to do to find your happy place. But I am getting to back to my always positive self, right? I lean more positive. And there are some things, right, as much as I'm annoyed with this team right now, that you have to acknowledge in the positive to keep yourself sane. Because what this is not, they're not the Colorado Rockies. They're not the Chicago White Sox. They're not the Athletics. No, they're still a good baseball team. They're going to play good baseball. They're going to be a postseason team. None of that has changed in my mind. I know that's this old spiel that people get tired of, but as much as that rant was needed, it doesn't change my overall opinion on this team right now. It just really ticks me off that a team that I believe in that much is playing the way that it is. Now, some positives from this series or from these most recent days. Rob Thompson was asked, is there a gap between you and the Mets right now? And he said, no, I don't think so. And I don't know that I necessarily disagree with him. You look at the games from this series against the New York Mets, right? And I know how you got to these scores is not exactly like, oh, hard-fought games and all of this. You lost game one by a single run, 5-4. All right? You lost game one with Aaron Nola on the mound being really, really rough still to use. He actually battled through a bunch of stuff, but giving up 2 bombs, mess. But you ended up making that a 1-run game. Bryce Stocko's yard off of Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers in the game. Game 2 was 5-1. That's more of a you pulled Christopher Sanchez after 2 innings type of deal. If that happens to any team, they're going to lose, right? And yesterday you go into extras. You should have won the game. You had every opportunity to win the game. You didn't close the door, but you played them to a 1-run game. The margin of difference in this series was 6 runs. But if you really look at, 1-run game, 1-run game, 4-run game where one of your best pitchers doesn't pitch out of the second inning. At face value, against a team that was as hot as the Mets were coming into this series, and as good overall as that team is, they are a quality team. We know this, played in the NLCS last year. If it wasn't the Mets, you'd probably understand that more. The problem is they're your division rivals, so it hurts more, and I'm falling into that trap as well. The other thing is the Phillies had some hits in this series. They did. It wasn't like they were, 1 hit here, 3 hits there, 2 hits there. No, they were hitting the baseball and they were squaring some stuff up. Some of it unlucky. I felt like every other at bat, every other inning, I was seeing first and second, 2 outs. Guy ropes one down the left field or right field line, just foul. A guy smokes one right at somebody. A ball is touched. It's just to the warning track. I don't know. It felt like the Phillies were making strong contact, seeing the ball well off some of the Mets pitchers, and there are series where you don't get rewarded for that. It doesn't mean that they're doing everything right and they don't have to change anything. It doesn't mean that we can't still be critical of the team. What it does mean is we have to be realistic with their performance in the series. I'm not saying, it wasn't really that bad, guys, but what I am saying is a hit here, a hit there, and a lot of hard hit baseballs by the Phillies. And that series is totally, totally different. So it's not like the Mets came out, beat you by 10 every game, called you a loser, ripped the Philly Fanatics head off and left him for dead. No, you played tight games. You lost in really tough fashion, but you didn't get your teeth kicked in. And that's why it's so much more annoying. And we talked about this in the first segment, why the Phillies were acting like they got their teeth kicked in, not showing this, I don't know, fire, I guess is what I would say. And I'm not trying to say they didn't put in effort. I'm not saying this team doesn't care. I'm saying that their body language was they felt beat. And the box score would tell you they weren't as beat as they acted. And I know you might say, well, Connor, you just freaked out and said, well, that was a miserable performance. It was, but part of that is approaching it the right way. And I don't think they're as far away from playing good baseball as I think the average Phillies fan is right now. The bullpen's a mess. There is no changing that. Take that part of the conversation, set it off to the side in the box, right? Bullpen over here, leave them alone because we're not talking about that right now. They're really, really bad right now. We'll see if they have any solutions to that. The starting pitching when everyone's healthy is going to be good. They are. Just got to hope everyone's healthy. The good news on Christopher Sanchez is he came to the ballpark yesterday and it said that he wanted to play catch. So it sounds like he's good. They haven't ruled him out for his next start. If he makes his next start, perfect. Very similar to the Taijuan Walker situation. Fills or dodges some bullets there with some arm tightness. Good news as far as that's concerned. Weston Wilson looked solid in his first action of the year for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's great to see. Edmundo Sosa, who got his first action, he's still good at baseball. You got to find ways to get him in the lineup. Alec Bohm has looked really good. Kyle Schwarber is still on his on-base streak. Bryce Harper is still on his on-base streak. They have some stuff going for them. They just got to find a stretch where they put it all together more consistently. And that may be tough to do with the bullpen, but it's on the two strengths of the team, the lineup and the rotation. We will see if they can do that in the Windy City against the Cubs. This is going to be a tough little stretch against Chicago, though, a team that's playing really, really good baseball right now. So a couple of quasi-positives to round out the show. Tomorrow's episode, we are going to preview the series with the Chicago Cubs, talk about why the Cubs are playing such great baseball, talk about how the Phillies can steal 2 out of 3 in Wrigley, find a way to make up for the series against the Mets. try and figure that out because I don't like this team getting swept, and I don't want to see them do it in Chicago as well. That will lead to this criticism reaching a fever pitch from the fan base and myself as well. But it's an off day. Go enjoy it. Try not to think about Phillies baseball for a couple hours, and then we move on and watch them play tomorrow, okay? That's where we're at. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Thank you so much for joining us. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that really helps us out here on Locked On Phillies. And I will talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.